How do you navigate between all the laws, rules, and regulations surrounding educational AI? AI powered education is next. Casey and I are here today to discuss the law. And I know there's not a lot of rules and regulations that are like finite around AI. It's just kind of like the wild, ness of everything. But in schools and colleges, there are definitely rules and regulations that we need to be thinking about. And I saw the statistic, and it just came out of like the National Education Association's magazine, and it says, what does research say? But it says that more than more than 1 in 4 of schools say they have no AI policy in place.
Mm-hmm.
So it just seems pretty uncomfortable, like for people who want to train staff and like do professional development,
Mm-hmm.
because you can go all wild and enjoy and like freedom, but you don't know if that's really okay or not, right?
Mm-hmm.
And all of those kinds of things.
Well,
Go
and
ahead.
and it sort of sets teachers up for potential issues, that they could have avoided had they known what they could or could not do. And I think that that's an important part of any administrator's plan, is to not set their teachers up for failure, to not set them up for situations where they could be held accountable. And so most school districts are required now to publicize any of the information that they use, any software, any programs, anything that collects student data. And so I think that's sort of where my mind comes to when thinking about the law. I mean, we have a legal obligation to protect our students, especially those under the age of 13, because, well, one, the law says that we have to, but it's also just like an ethical concern that we need to take control of as educators. And so, we have the FERPA, the family. What does FERPA stand for again? Do you remember? I know I have it here. Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act. That obviously protects our school records, that protects our students' personal information. And so what's important when we're using any sort of software, any sort of tools, that whether that's AI or otherwise, we have to know who's collecting that personal information about our students and what are they doing with it.
Exactly.
So I feel like no matter what education, no matter what laws or rules or policies schools are putting in place, like everybody has to follow FERPA. And
Right.
yeah.
And like, again, right here on the screen, here's some key legal concepts when you think about AI in education. So even though may not be some big governmental dis around AI, there is about privacy and safety and security of our learners, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
and then again, like the Children Online Privacy and Protection Act, that, we do need to be paying attention to that. It applies to websites and online services.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it's back to collecting information on people. General data protection. Again,
Right.
yeah, go
Well,
ahead.
and with that, it was kind of one of those things when I first read this in the Edutopia article, I was thinking about how that's a European Union law, and thinking, how is that relevant to the United States where we're based? And it comes down to most of the software and websites and things that we use to get information, or to even apps that our students are exposed to, come from the EU. Like that's part of what we have to realize, is that not all things are made in the United States, especially when it comes to relevant, AI and other types of technology development.
TikTok should be a perfect example of
Yep.
that, all kinds of things going on with that. So, but
Mm-hmm.
again, just thinking about what are already the rules and regulations around privacy and data with
Mm-hmm.
our learners in an educational setting. And again, they just go on to more again about data and privacy and security, just making sure that if this is breached, what are this, like, even that, like, if you don't have any policy, what happens if these are breached? Then what do you do,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
I suppose you could even go into like, I know in the area that I live in, that there have been school systems also where they have been, hacked and into their systems and held for ransom, to
Mm-hmm.
schools don't have money to do that. Data is leaked, and then now we've got another mess on our hands. As you mentioned, this Edutopia article, again, it's got some very good actionable steps of what school districts, what you can do, that kind of thing. And then
Well,
there's also
and most important, it's the same things that you and I have been talking about for the last year is to do your due diligence and to look into the tools that you're doing. I mean, that's part of what we hope to do for a lot of our viewers is to say, here's a cool tool that exists, or here's a theory around using AI in your building and in your classroom. But that's ultimately, a team of people. That's one of the recommendations that they put forward is, do you have a team at your school talking about how you use AI and how, how any sort of software or technology tools are in the hands of students and or collecting information about our students. So I really like that piece of advice.
I know that these topics are not necessarily the law so much fun to talk about, but it's still super, super important that we discuss just how do we keep our young people safe and also ourselves, right? And just our community, whatever it might be. But it is really important a topic, and we're just grateful that you're here to dig into it with us.
And if you like what we're saying here in this episode and any other episode, feel free to like and subscribe.
Thank you.